Hello, historians, young historians. We are continuing our look at the River Valley civilizations, and today we're going to be talking about the Nile. If you are using this sheet right here, which I gave you, which you've been provided, this is kind of our chart. This is our knowledge note-taking device for these different regions, for these different River Valley civilizations. And today, of course, we're on the Nile. All right, let's start at the top. The location. If you're looking at a world map, find Africa, because that's the continent that this river is on. And it's in the northern section to the right or to the east, so you would say Northeast Africa. We often today refer to this as Egypt, and we usually use the term ancient Egypt here. So we've kind of done name identification and location all together. Geographic barriers, what's protecting this area from outside attack, but also maybe preventing it from expanding beyond. That would be desert all around, to the east and to the west, and of course some bodies of water, the Mediterranean to the north and the Red Sea to the east. Cities in lower ancient Egypt would be Memphis, not where Elvis is from, that would be in Tennessee, but Memphis, and of course a very prominent city in ancient Egypt, that of Thebes, which would be considered Upper Egypt, which is really south. Again, the elevation of and the river flowing from high elevation to lower elevation, flowing from south to north, kind of flips those terms for us and the way we normally view maps. Religion. Hey, while we're at it, let's put on a cool Egyptian hat while we're talking about Egypt. Okay, there we go. All right. You like the snake, right? I don't really like the snake. Let's get rid of the snake. That's kind of creepy. The religion of ancient Egypt would be polytheistic, meaning they had many gods. Probably most prominent among them would be Ra, the sun god. As you would imagine, in a agricultural civilization, you need sun for the crops to grow, so big deal there. Osiris is the god of the dead. And he's got a pretty big role there as well, because their viewpoint about death would be a continuation of life. When you die, the pharaohs packed their tombs with plenty of stuff that they used in their worldly lives to take with them into the afterlife. Government, even though villages will be located along this Nile River Valley as early as 5000 BC, you don't really see a uniting of this upper and lower Egypt into kind of a unified civilization with a government until about 3000 BC, and the pharaohs will be providing dynastic rule, meaning passing it down from one generation to the next within a family by 2660 BC. This kind of rule with the pharaoh, who was considered to be divine or a god or related to the gods, this is a theocracy. You're using religious principles to be the guidance or leadership for the society. The goods of trade would be, of course, agricultural, as they would move them up and down the Nile. The society would have the royalty at the top, followed by landowners, officials, priests, commanders. Underneath them would be merchants and artisans. Peasants and laborers would be at the bottom. This is a pretty mobile society. Slaves, of course, below everybody. Pretty mobile society. You could start off at one position and find yourself through merit rising up, or even falling down through the rungs of society. Women were also available to be able to be powerful in these, and some of the pharaohs were actually women. Written language would be hieroglyphics. They would that was kind of the sacred language there, written language. They would write on material called papyrus, which is like paper made out of plants. Other achievements would be, of course, we probably all recognize the pyramids, very old, probably somewhere around 2500 BC. Those would be constructed, of course, as tombs. And in order to build such massive monuments for a king, or in this case a pharaoh, you got to imagine that there was a lot of power held here. There's a lot of economic power, a lot of money to be funding these projects, as well as a lot of authority over the people to convince them that this was a really good idea. A lot of government organization involved in such a large project. You could also note that their knowledge of the human body was probably enhanced. Egyptian medicine was considered to be top of the line, probably learned because of their mummification or embalming process of the body once it had died. Written numbers, using other people's military avenues or techniques, like when they were invaded by the Hyksos in the 1600s BC, they would actually assimilate into the Egyptian society. The Egyptians would later use their techniques to conquer and remove them from Egypt. So that's our look at Egypt, our look at the ancient Nile River Valley civilization, and thanks a lot. Oh, there's my hat again. Ooh, sorry, hit the wrong button. There we go.